Welcome to WP Constellations, a podcast exploration of the WordPress universe, brought to you by Stellar WP. Welcome back for our next episode of WP Constellations, which, as you heard in the intro, is part of Stellar WP. Today, we have a guest that I'm going to introduce in a minute from the parent company for Stellar WP. But right now, my Stellar WP co-host, Jeff Chandler, is here, and we're both going to do a little quick interview with Tiffany Bridge today from Nexcess. So, Jeff, how are you?
Hello. I am doing awesome. We're receiving some beneficial rain today, so I don't have to worry about watering the garden, but I'm very excited to have Tiffany on the show today to talk about managed hosting and what does managed hosting mean.
That's right.
Hopefully she could take the job of Scooby and the gang and figure it out for us.
That's right. So Tiffany Bridge is with us today, and Tiffany works at Nexcess, which is part of the Liquid Web family of brands. And kind of like, I feel like you're our sister brand to the Stellar WP part of things. And so it's really good to have you here. And on a personal note, Tiffany is also a good friend of mine. So thanks for joining us today, Tiffany.
Always happy to talk to you.
Yeah, likewise. And it's like looking in a mirror, right?
Right, totally. I mean, obviously, we are clearly twins.
I mean, people mistake us for each other. That's okay. Of all the people I could be mistaken for in this world, Tiffany Bridge is the one I would most want to be mistaken for. So
that's cute.
Well, I'm always very flattered when people walk up to me at WordCamp and say, Michelle. And I'm like, oh, no, I wish.
She has purple hair. That's right. So it's good to have you here. So as Jeff said, I think that there's a lot of confusion amongst users for sure, right? So the general public, but even within those people who, consider themselves WordPress experts, what is, in your definition and Nexcess's definition, managed WordPress hosting?
This is such a great question. And I think it's kind of important to, if I may, go back a few years in WordPress land. Way back when I started with WordPress in like 2004, in the Stone Age, when dinosaurs roamed the earth, WordPress hadn't like penetrated the market the way it has right now. Like there was a time, youngins, when WordPress did not own like 40% of the internet. And so what was happening is like people were doing a lot of like just installing WordPress themselves on like regular like shared hosting accounts. And then you started to see hosts notice that a lot of people were using this WordPress thing, and they would start adding buttons into their control panels to like one-click install it. And then they started noticing that like WordPress has particular needs, and they would start configuring their hosting around it. And in the middle of it, like everybody's trying to differentiate, right? Like hosting's a business. And what started happening is hosts that were providing a higher level of WordPress specific service wanted a fast, easy way to sort of justify why they were charging notably more for it, right? Because if your competitors are charging $5 a month for hosting and you're charging $25 a month for hosting, you want a quick way to just sort of denote that your product is a little fancier. And that's kind of where the term managed WordPress hosting comes from. That's not to say that it's meaningless, but what it generally refers to is this idea that you're getting like a higher level of service, optimization, and features from your hosting than you would from something that's just called WordPress hosting, or something that's called shared hosting, or something that's just called hosting. Mm-hmm. And that's really what it's meant to signify. In practice, what that means is, because we're all over here trying to serve customers who are coming to our sites, and they're not all technical and they don't necessarily know what they're looking for. So if you go to pretty much any host, somewhere in their navigation will be the word loud and clear WordPress. Like if you just know that you're here for WordPress, click here. This is what we have for you. But that being the case, when it's just called WordPress hosting, frequently it is just your basic shared hosting, but they'll pre-install WordPress for you. So you don't have to do that yourself, because there was a time when we were all uploading WordPress, the zip file, and like unzipping it on the server. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of times the only thing that sets WordPress hosting apart from shared hosting is there's a button where they'll pre-install WordPress for you. And, maybe they'll throw in like a year of backups or something like that, but there's just not a lot to it. And those tend to be like your very economical hosts, right? Those are your like $3 a month hosts, your $5 a month hosts. Nothing wrong with that if that's all you need. But for people who are running a business and for whom it would be like a real problem, if their WordPress site suddenly broke and they didn't have enough help getting it back online, we have this category called managed WordPress. And in a managed WordPress world, you can and should expect a little more. You should expect, for example, staging sites where you can test out your plugins and themes and things like that. I think and to me, that's kind of like the differentiator about somebody who's like really thought about their WordPress offering and who hasn't, is do they have a staging site feature? But you'll also see like lots of places will talk about like caching, but like, what does that really mean? Have they like, what level of optimization have they done? And that can be hard to tell just from a host's website. At Nexcess, we've actually put a lot of thought into our caching, of course. We have page cache and object cache, like a lot of people have, but we also have something called micro caching, which is provided by Nginx, and like that's a little bit out of the scope of this podcast to kind of get into the details of. But in addition to that, we've also really spent a lot of time thinking about like non-cacheable things. Like if you can cache a static page, you can make it super fast. But like, what about people who are trying to check out in your store, or learners who are trying to take a quiz in their LearnDash LMS? You can't cache all of those requests. Those requests are really important. And so what we've done in our managed WordPress product is we've just added more like throughput to the database. It's the technical term is PHP workers, but it really just, you can think of it as like, you can ask more things of the database at once than on a lot of our competitors. But those are the kinds of things that you should be expecting like your managed WordPress host to think about. And there are Nexcess does it. And we have lots of competitors kind of in the space. So there are lots of choices, and you'll tend to find a more customized portal experience that you're thinking a little bit more about like the business of people who use WordPress. That's a thing that you can expect from a managed WordPress host. So it's really just sort of like that next level of like, okay, I'm serious about whatever I'm doing with this WordPress site now, and I actually need more features, more support. Somebody who's actually thought a little bit about making my site like performance at the server level.
So we've talked about next level. Now we're going to talk about Nexus level.
There you
Nexus
go.
level. I love it. See, why aren't you writing slogans for us, Jeff?
One of the things that I perhaps mistakenly thought when managed WordPress hosting was like first part of the vernacular was, I don't have to worry about updating my plugins. I don't have to worry about updating my WordPress version or all of those things on my own. How should I, as a site owner, still think about the updates that need to happen on my own site?
That is a great question. I think, early on of managed WordPress, like a lot of it did have to do with like managing updates and plugins. That doesn't mean that they would get updated right away, though, because as you know, not every are created equal. Some of them impact the front end of the site in a way that is negative, or you get like plugin conflicts and things like that. And so, you would have hosts that would after a period of time would like update your WordPress for you, and things like that. And so that's not a completely unreasonable expectation. However, as we know, as WordPress people, you can't just sort of blanket up. I mean, I do it. I blanket update things on my sites all the time. Because I like
disclaimer, please don't anybody else do that.
Here's the thing, that's a whole other topic for another day. I actually do recommend it for some people, just not everybody. But you should expect some kind of support for that, right? And because a lot of this terminology came about back before WordPress even had auto updates. Like again, in the old days when dinosaurs walked the earth, if you wanted to update WordPress, you were like installing WordPress on top of WordPress. You were like uploading a new version of WordPress to your server. And so it was reasonable to expect that your host would help you with that if you were paying them enough money. Now WordPress kind of updates itself. But what we're doing at Nexcess now for that kind of thing is we're like monitoring the the release cycle, right? And so when those betas start coming out, we start testing them on our platform to make sure that if we install the new version on our platform, it's going to work as we expect reliably, that if our customers update, it's going to continue to work reliably as we expect, because we do want customers to stay up to date with WordPress. Like, you should be running your updates. We also have a feature called Visual Compare, where we create what we call a regression site. And it's just a copy of your site. We just copy it over, and then we just start running your plugin updates. And then we compare. Does the homepage on the regression site still look the same as the one on the live site, within a certain tolerance, right? There's like a certain tolerance for error. And if it does, then we run that update on your live site. And if it doesn't, we hold the update and we prevent it from going out. And that is not a complete solution, because what I have just described is a way to prevent plugin updates from running, right? So what you as a site owner should still be doing is logging in, checking out, checking the Visual Compare tab in your Nexcess portal, seeing what hasn't run, why didn't it run, and then either allowing or disallowing the update yourself. Like, you still want to have a hand on your plugin updates. But what we've done is we've created this way to sort of like de-risk automatic plugin updates for people.
How do we get that de-risk in the WordPress core, please? Because what we've seen in the past already is that we're still not at the point where we have super solid, 100% trustworthy automatic updates. And if you're a business that relies on, needing to stay up, automatic updates can cause your site to go down, and next thing you know, you're losing money.
Yeah. There is some effort kind of afoot in the WordPress contribution team to do some of that, right? There's a guy named Andy Fragan who he has been working on a way for like a failed plugin update to roll itself back. Now, that is still like a failed plugin update, like an update that did not complete. The next phase is like, okay, I updated a thing and now there's a fatal error. Can that plugin automatically roll itself back? When you start getting into that kind of stuff, I think the complexity can increase very rapidly. But yes, I would love to have that in core. I am not at all equipped to help contribute code to that effort, but when I see Andy Fragan, I always want to purchase the beverage of his choice, because I think that's very important work.
So when we take a look at Nexcess and its offerings, what are we talking about? Are we talking about SSL? Are we talking about PHP updates, backup, staging? What all does can customers look forward to who want to run their business or site on Nexcess?
Sure. So all of our plans include free staging and free daily backups, which is through our backup partner, Acronis. We do not automatically update PHP for you, but we do have a very cool feature where when you're in the portal and you're getting ready to update to the newest version of PHP, what we do is run a compatibility checker and output the results to you. So, it takes a couple of minutes, but it goes through and it checks to see that your site's code is compatible with the version of PHP you're trying to upgrade to. And then it provides you like a downloadable list so that you can then take that to your developer or Codable or some kind of partner like that, where they can resolve those conflicts for you, so you can stay up to date on your recent PHP stuff. We've still got people out there running 5.6, and WordPress 6.3 is going to drop 5.6. So we're all back here saying, how are we going to get people to move forward? Right? Because at some point, as a host trying to run a secure, performant platform, you have to take away the things that are end of life, even if customers really like them and want to keep them.
It's true.
It's an unfortunate fact, right? Is that you've got to, like, the whole ecosystem moves forward and you've got to move with it. But in terms of features, we've got some interesting platform features. We've got plugin performance monitor, which as your site changes, it goes out every night to Google Lighthouse and just reruns the performance tests, so it can let you know if there's a performance issue with your site, kind of as it starts and before it's had time to tank your sales, for example. We've got we talked about like PHP workers. I think a big differentiator for us is that we just give you more of them than a lot of our competitors do, right? Like, a lot of our competitors, their entry-level plan It's like 4 PHP workers. Ours is 10. So what that means is that you're going to be able to get up to a much higher level of like simultaneous like orders, transactions, quizzes, like all of that. You'll get to a much higher level of that before you start to run out, before your customers start to notice latency, right? And that's which brings me to this other cool thing that we do with PHP workers, which is called auto scale. If you are at the point where you're like tapping out your PHP workers, we'll just give you 10 more for like 24 hours for free. And just, if your traffic spikes, you go viral, something like that happens, we'll just give you more resources to keep your site running and happy. And then, after that 24 hours, yes, a meter does start running because you are consuming resources. But that first 24 hours, just to kind of get you over the hump, like we're there, we've got you.
I love that. I recently,
that's just the kind of stuff that we can talk about on the website. So
exactly. Recently, I saw you speak at WordCamp Montclair this year, and I think I took a picture of you, and the back on the screen right behind you said, "Don't panic." And I think that is a really good mantra for when you're working with Nexcess as well. I have several sites hosted with Nexcess, and I'm a community expert for WordPress. I am not a developer. I am not and every hosting company is a little bit different. So I say that all to say that I've definitely used your help desk before and chatted with many amazing people on the support side of Nexcess who were able to walk me through like, how do I get my domain live? I've pointed the name servers, but I don't know what's next. And the don't panic is great because you have people who are willing to walk you through those, point you to the right knowledge base articles, even step in and do it for you if you're completely at your wit's end as far as getting things up and running. So I just wanted to kind of give a shout out there too, because even today, as I was going live on a site, I was like, I'm missing a step. What am I doing wrong? And Nevin was able to help me through that. And I love that I have back channels. So like I had this person help me. I can go in Slack and go, thank you for your help today, as well. But other people should know that the support is there for what you need. And I think it's great that you have all these people who are so well versed in the product that they're able to help no matter what your issue is.
Yeah, our support team is really great. And something that I really value about being part of the Liquid Web family is that Liquid Web goal for many years now has been to be the most helpful humans in hosting. And I feel like that carries over, first of all, of course, to support, right? You want support to be just to kind of come at you with that attitude of helpfulness versus I gotta get like 600 interactions done today on my shift, so I have to spend as little time as possible on this one. The people are coming to you really with an attitude of helpfulness, but it also carries over to, I think, other departments as well. I mean, I spend my entire day thinking about like, okay, so when a customer logs into their portal and and is trying to manage their sites, like what is it that they're trying to do and can I get them there faster? Because nobody, not our most delighted happy customer ever wakes up in the morning and says, man, I just cannot wait to spend a bunch of time in the Nexcess portal today. Like nobody does that. Yeah. They want to get in, get out. They want to like hit it and quit it. And so my goal is like, of course we want you to like use the portal, and if you're spending lots of time in the portal, I hope it is because the portal is extremely helpful to you and you're deriving a lot of value from it. But like the portal is not the thing that you're excited about, right? The portal is just a means to an end. And in product management, we call that jobs to be done. And it's a whole framework for thinking about products. But you're not there because you love my portal so much. Right. You're there to do a thing. And how can I get you to do that thing efficiently so that you can go on with your day?
Yeah, and it worked very well. Took me all of 5 minutes once I knew what I was doing to get that site live. So yeah, kudos to you and the team for the work that y'all do. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I even asked you at Montclair, I'm like, I don't understand how to do XYZ. And you're like, this is where you log in. This is what you do. If you have problems, let me know. And I was all ready to like do a Loom recording and show you what I couldn't understand. And I was like, oh, wait, no, that was easy. I don't need to record anything. I'm done.
I remember the days of logging into cPanel and seeing icon after icon, and it doesn't matter how long I was using cPanel. it still took me a while to find the right icon I needed to manage my website. Up
Yeah.
until this point, we've talked about WordPress and managed WordPress hosting, but that's not all Nexcess has to offer. You also offer fully managed WooCommerce hosting, correct?
We do. We do. And, here's the thing. As we all know, as WordPress people, you could just install WooCommerce on our managed WordPress hosting. Nothing's going to stop you. I'm not going to stop you. I'm not trying to stop you. But what I will tell you is that our managed WooCommerce offering, it's the same platform, but the allocations on the plans are more focused around the needs of WooCommerce stores, right?
Mm-hmm.
A WooCommerce store, people want to have like these big, like high resolution product image galleries and things like that. Like you're going to need more disk space for that. And it can look like, because some people come up to me like at WordCamps and stuff, and they'll be like, managed WordPress, managed WooCommerce, really? Is that not just like a cash grab? Well, no, because a WooCommerce site, as compared to just a plain WordPress site, is, if it's decently trafficked and decently busy, if your business is successful, it consumes resources, it consumes server resources. And we like to make sure that people have what they need in order to run the specific needs of a WooCommerce store. And that especially is true as you start getting up to like higher numbers of stores on the same account. And when you start putting like multiple stores, for example, like on a dedicated host, we want to make sure that we're like allocating it so that your customers are never experiencing latency while they are trying to give you money.
Exactly.
Because when your customers could easily give you money, you are happier to give us money and everyone's happy.
Yeah. It's not about the cash grab. It's about helping the customers get the cash for their products and services.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
We really just want to be there and help your company succeed. We succeed when you succeed. And that's something that is really important to us. Like, how can we, we refer to it internally as success as a service. Like, how can we bring you success as a service? Like, the way we are doing that is through hosting and servers and managed applications and things like that. But what we're really trying to do is help you be successful.
Absolutely. I often think about hosting, like if you don't hear from a customer, everything's going well. Because very, very seldom in service industries do people go out of their way to give kudos, right? And not that we don't, we absolutely get kudos at Nexcess. I've seen them be tweeted, I've seen them show up. But most often, like, no news is good news, because if nobody's run into a problem, they're being successful and happy. That's great. But if you are using Nexcess hosting and you do love it, let us know, because we would love to hear that too.
Yeah, totally. We'd love to hear that. Yeah, and I think something that's really important to me as as a product manager is thinking about like one of the kind of sort of like the richest places that I mine for ideas about how to make the product better is, what is support spending too much time on? Right? Because then clearly lots of people are having trouble with it. And is that a feature that I can deliver or improve for my customers? Because then that's less time that support is having to spend on it. Because I firmly believe that the way to help support provide that like amazing, helpful support that we want to be known for is to try and reduce the amount of time they're spending on like repetitive stuff, solving the same problems over and over again. If everybody's having the same problem, can I be supporting it better in the product so they don't have to contact support? Because again, it's the same thing. Nobody goes, man, I cannot wait to get in a chat with Nexcess support today. Oh, I just love it. Like, nobody's doing that.
No, but when you do, they're always pleasant.
Right. And my colleagues in support are amazing, and you will have a lovely time talking to them. However, if you're talking to them, it's because something broke
and you're frustrated, or you couldn't find it,
and you're
or
frustrated.
Whatever, yeah.
And we would just love it if you never had to, right? And so the fewer things that we have to ask support to do, the better every individual support interaction can be.
Yeah. So tell us what does come with Nexcess hosting. What can people expect to see? I know we've got staging, we've got live sites, obviously. What other things are we looking at as far as some of the benefits of hosting with Nexcess?
Yeah, so we've got, like we said, staging, we've got visual compare, we've got backups, we've got nightly malware scans. We are getting ready to roll out malware remediation. Like, nobody likes to think about malware on their site, but if it happens, because look, it happens to a lot of people, we'll be able to help you clean that up. very soon, possibly by the time this episode releases.
Oh, nice.
We've got CDN powered by Cloudflare. We are working on, again, to release possibly by the time this episode does, a Cloudflare add-on, which includes like DDoS protection and things like that. We're going to be calling it Performance Shield. So we've got that. We've got a great and generous PHP workers allocation. We've got amazing support. We've got support going out there. And this is a project that our head of support was just telling me about the other day. They're out there checking the servers to see like which servers are like a little bit more dense than the other ones. And they're going through with a script and they're just checking all of our customers' cache settings to make sure that they're fully taking advantage of Nexcess's cache optimizations. Right? Because a lot of customers don't necessarily know how to do that out of the box, or maybe we've made some changes since they joined us and we've got to go back and make sure that they are taking full advantage of it. We have been working with Object Cache Pro for a lot of that, which is a really well-regarded product in the community. So, like I could go on and on. Our features are listed out on nexcess.net/WordPress and /WooCommerce. But also, if you are, kind of branching out from WordPress, we also host any number of other PHP applications. So you can host Magento with us. You can host Expression Engine. You can host Craft CMS. You can host Drupal. You will be installing it yourself. We don't currently offer that one in our installer, but you can host, like if it's a PHP application, we can host it for you. If you outgrow your multi-tenant setup and you want dedicated, we can help you with that. If you want to migrate into us from another host, we can help you with that. We have free migrations. We have, self-serve migrations and white glove migrations. But basically, like our goal is at the family of brands, the Liquid Web family of brands is, a product for every project. So if you outgrow my like managed application offering, my colleague Isaac at Liquid Web, he manages our VPS offering, and maybe VPS is a better fit for you. So we've got you there too. So basically at every point in your business, we really want to have a product that suits you and that you can grow with and be successful with. Because when you succeed, we succeed.
I love that. So how do people find Nexcess? I know you threw the domain out a second ago, but how do we find Nexcess on the web and on, let's say, Twitter and other social accounts?
Sure. So our website is nexcess.net. So like excess, but with an N at the beginning. And our our Twitter handle is also Nexcess. Our Twitter handle is fun. So you'll enjoy that as well, because they've been having fun with it lately in that team. Those are the primary ways to get in touch with us. Our phone number is listed on the website. You can talk to our support via chat. You can talk to sales via chat. If you have questions, pre-sales questions, we've got a whole team that sits there and asks those questions. If the person answering the chat doesn't know the answer, they come into Slack and they ping somebody, usually me. So I'll be the one answering it indirectly. So you can find us there.
And if somebody's interested in following you, how do we find you? Let's say on Twitter.
On Twitter, my handle is at Tiffany, just my first name, Tiffany.
So lucky. I love that.
Lucky, or did I just join Twitter way too early?
When
I joined Twitter, they didn't have like @ replies yet.
Yeah.
And if you're interested in following my occasionally, sporadically posted upon blog, my URL is tiff.is.
I love it. Fantastic. Jeff, anything else to ask or add?
No, I will say I can verify that the support people at Nexcess are delightful, because sometimes when I'm bored, I'll go to the live chat and just start chatting with them and seeing what's up. And if they're having a nice day, and it always ends up being a delightful conversation. I don't encourage anybody to do that. It's just something I've done, so I can verify everybody's in a good mood over there usually. And
next week, our head of support's going to be like, what happened? Why is everybody just wishing our support techs a nice day in chat?
Yeah, there's something obviously wrong here. But are there any WordPress events that you're going to be attending or speaking at within the next few months?
I will be attending WordCamp US.
Okay.
which is in, what is that, like late August.
Yes.
That is currently the only one on my calendar, but we're working on some other ones. I am also working on helping to revive the WordPress DC meetup. Just kind of
Nice.
project managing that process. So hopefully that will start popping again soon as well.
Well, around WordCamp
Fantastic.
US, that'd be a perfect time to just talk to everybody and say, "Hey, let's get it back going. Let's get it going again."
Yeah, exactly,
Fantastic.
exactly. So, because that's right in our backyards this year. So, we're excited about it. We'll all be there.
Other than that, thank you
Excellent.
for being on the show and giving us the inside scoop on Nexcess. And I think it's awesome that a prospecting customer can start their journey on Nexcess, and Nexcess can grow alongside with them.
Yeah, that's something
Absolutely.
that's really, really important to us.
Yeah. Well, we totally appreciate your time today. Thank you. And if anybody has more
Thanks, Jen.
questions, you can check us out, stellarwp.com/podcast, and you'll find this episode and all of the show notes and transcript within it. So thanks again, Tiffany, for being here. Thanks, Jeff, for being the awesome co-host. We'll see everybody on the next episode.
Thanks, y'all.
WP Constellations is a production of Stellar WP, home of the events calendar, LearnDash, Give WP, Cadence, Iconic, Solid WP, Orderable, and Restrict Content Pro. Learn more about the Stellarverse at stellarwp.com.